The daisy family is one of the largest plant families. About 10% of the world's flowering plants belong to this family. It has showy members like zinnias, sunflowers, and chrysanthemums, but I think the most dazzling members of the daisy family are dahlias. We've got a display of those here in our studio garden this year. The flowers of dahlias exhibit quite a lot of variation in their flower form, their flower size, and then they have spectacular variation in the flower colors. The dahlias are a group of tender perennials that are native to high altitude areas in Central America, and they start blooming in about midsummer and continue up until frost. They do languish a little bit in the hottest part of the summer, but as you can see, the cool fall temperatures really bring out a nice display. Well, you might be wondering why plants that are native to Central America would have problems with our summertime heat here in Oklahoma, because it's obviously a lot hotter down in Central America. Well, the high altitude areas where these plants come from really makes a huge difference. The nighttime temperatures up in the mountains gets cooler, so at night the plants are able to sort of rest a little bit. They are able to store some of the carbohydrates that they've worked on during the daytime, and they just sort of recharge and are able to handle the heat a lot better. But the cool nighttime temperatures are something that they don't get here in Oklahoma. It's not uncommon for us to have 70-degree nighttime temperatures here in our state. So they kind of wane a little bit in those hot summer months, but as you can see, once the cool weather of fall comes along, they really make a nice display in our gardens. The flowers of dahlias are definitely the reason to grow them. They're used a lot as cut flowers, but the actual plants are a little bit gangly. You can see that they're kind of tall and spindly, and they can be a little bit of a challenge to work into the landscape. Some ways that you could use dahlias would be to plant them in clumps in a perennial bed, or grow them in a large annual bed with lots of other supporting annuals, or you could do kind of like we've done here and just do a dahlia display, kind of showing off all the different types, varieties, and colors. You can see that we've grown ours with support from these small tomato cages with the rebar here in the center, and we've got 3 cages sort of interlocked here, so we could grow 3 different types if we wanted to. These other 2, I think, were dug up by skunks or armadillos or something, but we've got one here to keep this little area full of color. But these small tomato cages are perfectly utilized in growing the dahlias, because they're really too small to support any of those large tomatoes. So maybe we could rename these dahlia cages. Well, there are some bedding types of dahlias that don't need to be supported. The plants are very small and compact, and they have a lot more flowers. We've grown these a few times here at our studio garden, and we've been very pleased with those. And we've actually started those from seed. But these larger dahlias we ordered from summer bulb catalogs, and we planted the tubers back in May. Dahlias like a spot out in full sun. They like a soil that's well drained and one that's been amended with organic matter. It's important to keep them well watered and to provide a mulch, keep those weeds out, and help the plants do their best. Again, dahlias aren't winter hardy here in Oklahoma, but the tubers can be dug and stored over winter, just like we do our cannas and our gladiolas. One thing to remember when separating those clumps of tubers is that there has to be at least one bud or eye on each tuber, or it won't sprout the next year. Now, one thing that some gardeners will do is to come out to their garden after a frost has occurred. They'll cut the plants down to the ground, then they'll wait about 5 or 6 days before they dig those clumps. Now, this small period, or this waiting period, will cause those clumps of tubers to produce those eyes or those buds. Then it's a lot easier to separate them and make sure we get a bud on each piece. Well, we do have several varieties here in our little dahlia collection that I want to show you. This is one called Jean Marie, and you can see it's a large cactus flowered typed dahlia, and it's got these purplish ray florets radiating out here. We've got a little bit of white and part of the ray florets out on the end there. Very nice dahlia. Right up here we've got one of the most asked about dahlias that we've grown this year. This one's called Celestial Starburst, and you can see it's got a wonderful arrangement of colors here in the flower head. You get several different colors of pink, and then the yellow down in the center just really sets off these large blooms. Right next to it we've got a dahlia with an even larger flowering head. This is called Bluebell, and although the plant is more purple than blue, it is definitely an amazing plant, almost satiny in the coloration out on those ray florets. Now when we ordered this one out of the catalog, it looked more blue in the picture than it turned out to be, but we're still very pleased with the way this one's performing in the garden. Right here we have a large flowered variety that's getting ready to bloom for the first time, so we're excited to see that one come on. This one's called Emery Paul. Right here we've got an intricately designed flowering dahlia. This one's called Crazy Love, and you can see it's a heavy bloomer. We've got lots of flowers, lots of buds, and they have these white ray florets with a yellow down in the center, and then this really neat little purplish picotee or edge to those little ray florets. Again, all the plants in the daisy family have a cluster of flowers that make up the head. They're not individual petals, those are actually individual flowers. We have the ray florets, and then we have the disc florets in the center. Right here we have a really neat orange dahlia. This is called Ms. Eileen, and as you can see, the flowers open up a brilliant orange, and then as they get older they continue to fade almost to a yellow color. So you get lots of dimension on this dahlia out in the garden. You can see some of the cucumber beetles feeding on some of the petals. These can be a problem on dahlias. We have treated our dahlias with a dicyston granular insecticide at planting time that will take care of those insects or any insects that want to eat on the plant, but here late in the year we still get a few cucumber beetles coming in, but they don't do a lot of damage this time of the year. Right here we have perhaps my favorite of our dahlia collection this year. It's called Bishop of Landolph, and you not only get these bright red flowers in quite an abundance on the plant, but the little disc florets here in the center are yellow in their coloration, and then the foliage of the plant is also very, very showy. It's kind of a dark purple, but we get that purple color on the leaves and also the stems as well. So it makes a great background for showing off all those red flowers. Well, right next to Bishop of Landolph, we have another purple foliaged dahlia. This one's called Moonfire, and it's just got a single row of ray florets, but it has sort of a halo or an eye of reddish orange there in the center with the yellow part of the petals, or the ray florets here on the outside. But this is a small one, works great for containers. Also the variety Amadeus that we've got right here is another smaller dahlia that we could grow in containers if we wanted to, but it's got a lot of these smaller pom-pom type dahlia flowers of purple. Some little variations of purple, different shades of purple down in those flowers. And then finally down here on the end we've got a variety called Otto's Thrill, and this is a huge flowering dahlia. It's got pink florets, and down inside we have sort of some apricot type colors. Again, just kind of set off those flowers and give them a little bit of dimension. In perfect dahlia growing country, the flowers of Otto's Thrill can get up to about a foot in diameter, so that would make a wonderful display. Maybe a little bit later here in the year we'll have some of those flowers get even larger.